My name is Marcus Anderson. I'm 32 years old, and for the past 7 years, my family has treated me like I'm invisible. Not because I disappeared, but because I refused to play their game. The Anderson family operates on a simple hierarchy. Success is measured by how loudly you announce it, how expensively you display it, and how many people witness it. My older brother Derek mastered this system perfectly. Every promotion came with a family dinner announcement. Every new car required a driveway photo shoot with our parents. Every business milestone demanded we all gather to celebrate his genius. I took a different approach. After college, I accepted a position as a junior analyst at a mid-sized investment firm. The salary was modest. The title was unremarkable. My parents attended my graduation but skipped the celebration dinner because Derek had an important networking event they needed to support. "You understand," Mom said, adjusting her pearls. "Derek's building something real. You'll have plenty of other dinners." I understood perfectly. For the first 3 years, I kept my head down and learned everything I could about venture capital, private equity, and early-stage technology investments. I studied market trends obsessively. I identified patterns other analysts missed. I built relationships with founders who were building legitimate companies, not just chasing valuations. My senior partner, Robert Chin, noticed. He was 67, brilliant, and had no patience for showmanship. He'd built his wealth quietly over 4 decades. And he recognized a similar temperament in me. "You see things others don't," he told me during a late-night review session. "You're not looking for the flashiest pitch. You're looking for the solid foundation." When I was 26, Robert offered me a partnership stake in a new venture fund he was launching. 20% equity. We'd focus exclusively on B2B software companies with proven revenue models and scalable infrastructure. Nothing sexy. Nothing that would make headlines. Just companies that solved real problems for real businesses. "This offer doesn't leave this room," Robert said. "I don't advertise my partners. I don't announce my moves. We make money quietly and we keep making it." I accepted immediately. My family never asked about the partnership. They assumed I was still a junior analyst making $50,000 a year. I never corrected them. When Derek launched his first startup at 28, a social media app for revolutionary professional networking, my parents invested $40,000 and hosted a launch party for 200 people. "This is what real entrepreneurship looks like," Dad announced to the crowd, his arm around Derek's shoulders. "My son is changing the industry." I stood in the corner with a beer watching. Derek's app had no revenue model, no user retention strategy, and was built on technology that already existed. It would fail within 18 months. I knew this because I'd reviewed and rejected identical pitches a dozen times. But I said nothing. Over the next 6 years, our fund's portfolio grew strategically. We invested in 12 companies. 9 succeeded spectacularly. 2 broke even. 1 failed. Our returns averaged 38% annually. My 20% stake grew from $200,000 to just over $14 million. I drove a 7-year-old Honda Civic. I lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in a middle-class neighborhood. I wore the same rotation of business casual clothes I'd bought years ago. I had no social media presence. I attended 0 networking events unless Robert specifically needed me there. Meanwhile, Derek launched 3 more startups. All failed. Each time he convinced our parents and extended family to invest. Each time they lost money. Each time, Derek blamed market conditions, bad timing, or incompetent partners. Never his own judgment. By the time I turned 30, Derek had burned through approximately $300,000 of family money. My parents refinanced their house twice to support his ventures. They never asked him to stop. They never questioned his decisions. They did, however, question mine. "When are you going to do something with your life?" Mom asked at Thanksgiving 2 years ago. "Derek's building his 4th company. What are you doing?" "Working," I said. "At the same entry-level job," Dad added. "It's embarrassing, Marcus. You're 30 years old." I changed the subject. 6 months ago, Derek approached me at our cousin's wedding. He was drunk, confident, and expansive. He just launched Anderson Tech Solutions, a cloud infrastructure consulting firm. This time he promised it was different. This time he had serious backing. "I've got a major investor," he slurred, gripping my shoulder. "Anonymous. Professional. Someone who actually understands the space." $5.8 million. Can you believe it? I could believe it. Because I was that investor. Robert and I had reviewed Derek's business plan 3 months earlier. Despite my personal feelings, the fundamentals were actually solid. He'd partnered with 2 experienced CTOs who knew the enterprise software space. They had 3 signed contracts with legitimate mid-sized companies. The revenue projections were conservative and realistic. This is good, Robert had said, tapping the documents. The founder's track record concerns me, but the operational team is strong. If we structure it correctly, this could work. We structured it carefully. Anonymous holding company. Strict milestone-based funding releases. Operational oversight through a third-party advisory board that Derek didn't know I controlled. I wasn't investing in Derek. I was investing in his team and his business model, with safeguards to protect against his worst instincts. Derek never knew his anonymous investor was his loser little brother. The business actually started succeeding. 6 months in, Anderson Tech Solutions had 8 clients, 18 employees, and was approaching 7 figures in annual revenue. Derek's partners were doing the real work, but Derek handled the sales and client relationships, something he was actually decent at when he had a legitimate product to sell. Our family celebrated extensively. Multiple dinners. Social media posts. Dad even bought Derek a new Tesla as a congratulations on finally making it gift. Nobody asked how I was doing. Then came the Christmas party planning. Mom called me 3 weeks before Christmas. Derek's hosting this year. He's inviting some important investors and business partners. It's going to be very professional. Hey, I said. Marcus. She paused. Derek specifically asked that you not attend. I said nothing. It's not personal, she continued quickly. It's just that his investors will be there and he's trying to project a certain image. Having his brother show up in your situation, it might raise questions about his judgment. High situation, I repeated. You know what I mean. You're still in that entry-level position. You drive that old car. Derek's worried it will reflect poorly on the family, on his company. You understand. I understood perfectly. Sure, I said. I understand. Thank you for being mature about this, Mom said, relief flooding her voice. We'll do something small with you after the holidays. They didn't. Christmas arrived. I spent it alone in my apartment working on a portfolio analysis and watching old movies. My phone showed Instagram stories from the party. Derek's house was decorated elaborately. I counted approximately 80 guests. Dad gave a speech about Derek's incredible journey and his unstoppable drive. Nobody mentioned me. The next day Derek called. He was still riding high from the party's success. Hey little brother, he said, his voice dripping with condescension. Sorry you couldn't make it yesterday. Probably for the best though. These were serious business people. You wouldn't have had much to contribute to the conversations. Probably not, I agreed. You know, Marcus, it's not too late for you. I could maybe find you a position at Anderson Tech entry-level admin work. Answer phones, file documents. It wouldn't pay much, but at least you'd be part of something real. I'll think about it, I said. Don't think too long. These opportunities don't last forever. He hung up. I sat in my apartment looking at my phone. Then I opened my laptop and reviewed Anderson Tech Solutions' financial statements. The company was performing exactly as projected. Milestone metrics were being hit. The operational team was executing flawlessly. Derek's contribution was primarily public relations and client schmoozing, which his partners handled strategically to minimize his potential damage. It was time to make a decision. 2 weeks into January, Derek sent a family-wide text. Big announcement at Sunday dinner. Everyone must attend. I almost didn't go. But curiosity won. Sunday dinner was at our parents' house. Derek arrived last, making an entrance. He was wearing an expensive suit I recognized from his Instagram. Everyone gathered in the living room. I have incredible news, Derek began, pacing like a TED Talk speaker. Anderson Tech Solutions is expanding. We're opening offices in 3 new cities. We're hiring 25 new people. This is the moment where everything changes. Everyone applauded. Mom wiped her eyes. Dad beamed. There's more, Derek continued. I've decided to hire a private investigation firm to conduct comprehensive background checks on all family members who might be publicly associated with the company. The room went silent. It's standard practice for growing companies, Derek explained. Investors want to know that the founder's family won't create PR problems. So I'm having everyone checked out. Financial history, employment verification, criminal records, the whole thing. His eyes landed on me. This especially applies to you, Marcus. I know you've been telling people you work in investment. I need to verify what you actually do because if you're exaggerating or lying, it could hurt my company's reputation. I never said I work in investment, I said quietly. You've implied it. You've been vague. That's the same as lying. The investigators will expose your fake life at Christmas. Christmas. 3 months away. Derek, is this really necessary? Mom asked hesitantly. Yes, he snapped. I've worked too hard to have Marcus's delusions damage my credibility. The PI firm is top tier. Former FBI. They'll find everything. Dad nodded slowly. It's smart. Professional. Marcus, you understand this is just business. Sure, I said. Derek smirked. The report will be ready by Christmas. We'll review it at the family dinner. Everyone will finally see the truth about Marcus's pathetic little fantasy life. I stood up. I need to go. Running away? Derek laughed. You can't hide from a professional investigation. I'm not hiding, I said. I walked to my car, got in and drove home. That evening I sat in my apartment and thought carefully. This wasn't about embarrassment or family drama. This was about Derek using his temporary success to publicly humiliate me, to cement his position as the family's golden child by destroying whatever dignity I had left. I opened my laptop and drafted an email to Robert. We need to discuss the Anderson Tech investment. Can we meet tomorrow? His response came within minutes. My office. 8 a.m. The next morning I laid out the situation for Robert. He listened without interrupting, his fingers steepled under his chin. So your brother is investigating you to prove you're a failure, Robert said slowly. And he has no idea you're his primary investor. Correct. And he plans to publicly humiliate you at Christmas. That's his intention. Robert leaned back in his chair. Marcus, in 30 years of partnership, I've never asked you to mix personal feelings with business decisions. But I'm going to ask you now. What do you want to do? I looked at him steadily. I want to know if the company can survive without our capital. Robert pulled up his laptop and spent 20 minutes reviewing financials. They have 4 other smaller investors. Combined, maybe $2 million in commitments. If we pull our 5.8, they'd need to immediately cut their expansion plans, freeze hiring and potentially lay off staff. They could survive, but they'd be crippled for at least 18 months. And the operational team? They're good. They'd probably find other opportunities quickly. I nodded slowly. I need some time to think. Take it, Robert said. But Marcus? Whatever you decide, I support it. This is your call. I spent the next 2 months watching Derek's investigation unfold from a distance. He'd hired Prometheus Investigations, a legitimate firm run by former federal agents. They were thorough, professional, and expensive. Derek posted about it constantly on social media, framing it as proof of his commitment to transparency and corporate governance standards. My family praised his professionalism. Multiple relatives mentioned how smart it was to protect his company's reputation by ensuring family members weren't secretly problematic. Nobody questioned whether investigating your brother to publicly shame him was remotely normal. By November, Derek was telling everyone the report would be shocking and eye-opening. He scheduled the Christmas dinner for December 23rd. He invited 40 people, including his business partners, some clients, and extended family. He framed it as a holiday celebration combined with a family transparency initiative. The theme was clear. Derek would reveal my lies. Everyone would witness my humiliation, and he would be validated as the family's true success story. December 20th arrived. Derek called me. Hey Marcus. Just confirming you're coming to Christmas dinner. You are coming, right? I'll be there, I said. Good. Because the PI report is ready. It's going to be illuminating. I'm sure it will be. You sound calm, he said, suspicion creeping into his voice. You're not worried about what they found? Should I be? He laughed. Yeah, Marcus. You really should be. See you Sunday. December 23rd. I drove to Derek's house in my Honda Civic. The driveway was packed with expensive cars. I parked on the street and walked in. The house was decorated elaborately. A bartender worked a mobile bar. Catered food covered multiple tables. Approximately 60 people mingled in the living room and kitchen. Derek had expanded the guest list. I found a quiet corner and waited. Derek spotted me and waved, his smile predatory. He was holding court with a group of his business partners and clients, telling stories about his incredible journey building the company. Dinner was called. Everyone gathered in the large dining area. Derek stood at the head of the table. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "This is a special night. Not just because it's Christmas, but because I'm committed to complete transparency about Andersen Tech Solutions and everyone associated with it." He pulled out a thick folder. 3 months ago, I hired Prometheus Investigations to conduct comprehensive background checks on all family members. This is standard practice for serious entrepreneurs. You need to know if anyone in your circle could damage your reputation. People nodded approvingly. Several of his business partners looked impressed. "Tonight I'm going to share the report on my brother Marcus. Because for years he's been vague about his life, his work, his situation. And I need everyone to know the truth." He opened the folder. The room went completely silent. Derek began reading. Marcus Andersen, age 32. Employment history. Hired as junior analyst at Chin Ventures Capital in 2018. Current position. He paused. His face changed. He read silently for a moment. Current position. Managing partner, Chin Ventures Capital. Partnership stake, 20% equity. Estimated personal portfolio value, $14.3 million. The room stayed silent, but the quality of the silence changed. Derek kept reading, his voice getting quieter. Primary investments include 12 B2B software companies, with average annual returns of 38%. Notable holdings include. He listed companies. 2 of them were direct competitors to businesses owned by people in the room. Dad stood up. "That can't be right. Marcus works an entry-level job." Derek flipped pages frantically. "It gets worse. Or better. I don't. Marcus is listed as a primary investor in multiple companies through anonymous holding structures. Including." He stopped. His face went pale. "Including what?" Mom asked. Derek looked at me. Actually looked at me. For the first time in 7 years he was seeing me. "Including Andersen Tech Solutions," he said slowly. Anonymous investor A. $5.8 million. Controlling interest. That's Marcus. The room exploded with noise. People talking over each other. Derek's business partners looking at me with new recognition. My parents frozen in shock. I stayed in my corner, phone in hand. Derek's phone began ringing. He looked at it, then looked at me, confusion and fear mixing on his face. "Answer it," I said quietly. He answered. "Hello? Yes, this is Derek Andersen." "What? No, there must be. When? All of it? But the contracts. I understand." He lowered the phone. His hand was shaking. "That was the bank," he said. "Investor A has withdrawn all funding from Andersen Tech Solutions. Effective immediately. $5.8 million. Gone." "Marcus," Mom gasped. "You can't, you wouldn't." I stood up. Every eye in the room turned to me. "Derek," I said calmly. "You spent 3 months and $15,000 investigating me to prove I was pathetic. To publicly humiliate me at Christmas. To show everyone that you're the successful brother and I'm the failure." "I didn't know," he stammered. "If I had known." "That's the point," I interrupted. "You didn't know. You didn't ask. For 7 years none of you asked. You assumed. You dismissed. You uninvited me from events because my situation might embarrass you." I pulled out my phone and showed the email I'd sent 3 minutes before Derek read the report. I emailed my wealth manager from this room. Pull all funding from Andersen Tech Solutions. Every dollar. Every commitment. Every future investment round. Derek's business partners were standing now. One of them, the senior CTO, spoke. "Derek, without that funding we can't make payroll next month. We can't cover the expansion leases. We can't." "I know," Derek said, his voice barely a whisper. I looked at my parents. You refinanced your house twice to fund Derek's failures. You celebrated his success. You never once asked about mine. Because I didn't perform it for you. I didn't announce it. I didn't demand you witness it. Marcus, please, Mom said. We didn't understand. If you just explain. I'm explaining now, I said. I'm explaining that success doesn't require an audience. I'm explaining that quiet doesn't mean weak. I'm explaining that your son has been funding your golden child's company for 6 months, and your golden child just destroyed that relationship to score points at Christmas dinner. I walked toward the door. The crowd parted. Derek followed me. Marcus, wait. Please. The company will collapse. 20 employees will lose their jobs. The contracts will be breached. I'll lose everything. I turned back. You hired investigators to prove I'm nobody. You got your answer. I'm the nobody who was keeping your company alive. I'll fix this, he said desperately. I'll apologize publicly. I'll tell everyone the truth. Just don't pull the funding. The funding's already pulled, I said. That email was sent before you read the report. This isn't a negotiation. This is a consequence. His business partners were gathering their things. 2 of them walked past Derek without speaking to him. One stopped next to me. Mr. Anderson, the CTO said. I'm sorry you were treated this way. If you're looking for investment opportunities in the future, my partner and I are considering our options. I handed him my card. Call me next week. I walked to my car. Behind me, I could hear Derek's voice rising, desperate, making promises he couldn't keep. I drove home, parked my 7-year-old Honda Civic and walked into my modest apartment. My phone rang. Robert. I saw the withdrawal notice, he said. Are you okay? I'm okay. You know they'll come after you now. They'll beg, threaten, blame. I know. And I'm done being invisible. I'm done being dismissed. They wanted to know who I am. Now they know. Good, Robert said. I'll see you Monday. We have 3 new opportunities to review. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Derek called 47 times. I blocked his number after the first 5 voicemails. My parents showed up at my apartment. I didn't answer the door. Extended family members reached out with messages ranging from angry to pleading. I responded to none of them. Anderson Tech Solutions collapsed within 6 weeks. Without the capital, they couldn't meet payroll. Employees quit. Clients pulled contracts. Derek's partners left and started their own firm. They called me and Robert and I invested $3 million in their new venture. Derek moved back in with our parents. His Tesla was repossessed. His house went into foreclosure. My parents sent a letter. Handwritten. 4 pages long. It contained apologies, explanations, and requests for family counseling. The tone was familiar. They were sorry I felt hurt, and if I would just be reasonable, we could move past this misunderstanding. I didn't respond. In March, I received an invitation to speak at a venture capital conference. The topic, Strategic Stealth, Building Wealth Without Performance. I accepted. In April, Forbes published a profile on quiet wealth managers. I was featured. The article mentioned my background, my approach, and my philosophy on success without showmanship. Derek saw it. He showed up at my office. Security called me. Mr. Anderson, your brother is in the lobby. He's requesting a meeting. Tell him I'm unavailable, I said. He says it's urgent. He says he'll wait. Tell him to leave or you'll call the police. He left. 2 months later, my parents requested a meeting through a family lawyer. They wanted to discuss reconciliation and moving forward. I declined. Marcus, the lawyer said on the phone. They're your family. Don't you think you're being harsh? Did they think they were being harsh when they uninvited me from Christmas to protect their image? I asked. Did Derek think he was being harsh when he spent $15,000 investigating me to publicly humiliate me? The lawyer had no answer. Tell them I'm unavailable, I said. Permanently. Today I'm 33. My portfolio is worth approximately $18 million. I drive the same Honda Civic. I live in the same apartment. I have no social media presence. I'm not hiding. I'm not performing. I'm just existing in a way that works for me. Last week, I received a wedding invitation. My cousin Amy, the only family member who never dismissed me, never participated in the mockery. She called me personally. Marcus, I know things are complicated with the family, but I want you there. You specifically. Not as an obligation. As someone I actually value. I'm going to that wedding. Derek won't be there. Neither will my parents. Amy uninvited them after she learned what happened at Christmas. I don't need people at my wedding who treat family like props, she told me. You've always been real, Marcus. Even when they couldn't see it. Some people measure success by applause. By witnesses. By public validation. I measure it by the quiet satisfaction of knowing exactly who I am regardless of who's watching. My brother hired investigators to prove I was nobody. The investigation proved I was somebody. The difference is that I already knew.